It was just past midnight in Lenoir County, North Carolina. Sweet Amy Lane was quiet, the kind of quiet that only small-town nights seem to hold. But in one small home, the silence broke, first with a crash of glass, then with the sound of gunfire. A 911 dispatcher's phone lit up. A woman's voice, soft but trembling, filled the line. "He's been shot. I don't think he's breathing."
More details are coming out about the weekend murder of an Eastern Carolina man. Quinton Gray was found dead at his home on Sweet Amy Lane, southwest of Kinston, just before midnight on Sunday. Lenoir County deputies say the 30-year-old man had been shot multiple times. A woman who called 911 told authorities that someone broke into her home and shot Gray. Let's take a listen to the 911 call.
And you said he was shot and is he breathing?
No, I don't think so.
All right, when did this happen?
Like 5 minutes ago?
All right. And how many is injured? Is it just him?
Yes, it's just him.
All right, and how many suspects were involved?
I don't know, sir. I was there with my bed. I just heard gunshots.
All right.
Put him under the bed.
Where is that suspect at now? Do you know?
No, sir.
A child could be heard crying in the call's background. Now, neighbors told WITN that Gray was the father of 2 boys. The woman who told 911 that she didn't know where Gray was shot as he was lying on his stomach. Now, deputies have yet to release any information on a suspect or a possible motive.
Her name, Nyasha Perkins. The victim, Quinton Gray. Her boyfriend, the
I
father
came
of
far,
her
but
children.
I'm trying
A
to go
young man with
farther.
dreams
I've
bigger
been
than the
going hard,
place
but I
that
gotta
raised
go
him. But what sounded
harder.
like a
I've been
frantic
came far,
911
but I'm
call
trying to
soon
go
began to
farther.
sound different. Because on replay, there was something missing. The panic, the urgency, the kind of fear you hear when someone's world has just fallen apart. People who heard that call later said it didn't sound frantic at all. It sounded calm, almost too calm. When deputies arrived at 943 Sweet Amy Lane, it was just after midnight. Inside, they found Quinton Gray lying in his living room, shot multiple times. He was gone before help could arrive. The scene told one story, but not a clear one. There was a broken window, shattered glass spread across the porch. A few items were knocked over, but something didn't sit right with investigators. There were no muddy footprints, no signs of forced entry beyond that one broken window.
Nothing stolen, no struggle. And standing there clutching a blanket around her shoulders was Nyasha, her eyes red from crying, a small child at her hip. She told deputies a masked man broke in while they were sleeping, that she woke up to gunfire, that she ran, that Quinton was already on the floor when she came out. She said she saw a shadow, someone running out the back door. She didn't know who, didn't know why, but even then something didn't feel right. Because if this was a home invasion, where was the chaos? Why only Quinton? Why not anyone else in that home?
Kinston, North Carolina isn't the kind of place where strangers kick in doors at midnight, not without reason. The city's small, everyone knows everyone, and when tragedy strikes, word spreads fast. So when news broke that Quinton Gray, a local father of 2, known around town as Frederick Montana, had been found dead inside his home, people couldn't believe it. He wasn't a gang member. He wasn't living wild. He was working, making music, raising his kids. One neighbor said he was a good man, always outside playing with his boys, always had a smile. But that night, that smile was gone. And as the sheriff's deputies worked through the dark, they began to realize this was no random act. Inside the house, something stood out. The glass from the window didn't fall inward like it would if someone broke in. It fell outward onto the porch. That small detail meant something. It meant whoever broke that window was already inside, and that it was likely staged, an act meant to look like a break-in.
Let's step back a little, because before
I
Quinton
came
Gray
far, but I'm
became
trying to
a
go farther. I've been going hard, but I gotta go harder. I've been came far, but I'm trying to go farther.
Gianni and Amiri. To them, he wasn't a statistic. He was Dad. He worked hard.
On the spot where you went, I'm trying to make it to the top by the trench. Every day I'm on the block trying to get it. I just wanna make some boy, I'm chasing big spot. You know they say watch the spot where you went. I'm trying to make it to the top by the trench. I stayed down, I held it down until I came up. Now when the nigga come around, they say I changed up. Cause
The one who shared his home, his bed, and his children. Neasia Perkins. Now Neasia wasn't someone from the streets. She was a working mother, just 26 years old, juggling long hours at a local warehouse. By all accounts, she was well liked, easy to talk to, always smiling. People who knew her said she had a sense of humor, sharp, playful, sometimes fiery. But behind that smile, something had been changing. Her relationship with Quinton had grown strained. There were arguments, money, time, trust. Quinton's music career was picking up small momentum, and that meant late nights and female fans. Neasia didn't like that, and around this time, a new man entered the picture. His name was Calvin Coley, a co-worker from Goldsboro, quiet, reserved, but charming in his own way. At first it was friendly. They joked at work, shared lunch breaks, swapped stories about their long shifts. But soon people noticed they were spending more time together. Whispers started, and those whispers had a way of reaching Quinton. Still, no one imagined it would come to this, but in hindsight, maybe the signs were there, because just weeks before the shooting, Quinton posted less online. He stopped smiling as much in photos. And Neasia's posts, they started to fill off. After Quinton's death, her Facebook page filled with messages of grief and anger. One of her posts read, "Everybody that think they're gonna be at Hoodrich, Montana's service, y'all not. He only messed with a few." And y'all know it didn't sound like rumor. It sounded like someone drawing battle lines, someone defending something, or hiding something. Another post showed her posing with her children, wearing burgundy, the color she said was for Quinton. The caption read, "Burgundy for you, Hoodrich, Montana. Watch over us, we love you. R.I.P. until we meet again." To most, it looked like love, but to those who knew what investigators had already discovered, it looked like performance.
Because behind the scenes, detectives had already started connecting the dots. Phone records between Neasia and her co-worker Calvin told a story of their own. Text messages sent just minutes before and after Quinton's murder. One read, "I'm ready." Another came just 4 minutes after the 911 call. It simply said, "Done." Those two words shattered everything. The truth was no longer hiding. It was staring everyone in the face. This wasn't a home invasion. It wasn't a random act. It was a plan, a conspiracy, a betrayal so deep it stunned even veteran investigators. When word reached Quinton's family that Neasia had been arrested, the same woman who stood beside them at his funeral, who cried beside their mother, who held their children, they couldn't believe it. The pain turned to disbelief, then to anger. One family member said, "How could she sit there at his funeral, knowing she set him up? How could she do that to her own kids?" It was more than betrayal, it was destruction.
Because when Neasia took Quinton's life, she didn't just end one man's future. She changed the course of her children's lives forever. That night on Sweet Amy Lane wasn't random. It wasn't senseless. It was planned. And when investigators learned that Neasia's alleged accomplice, Calvin, had a violent history, including a prior shooting in Goldsboro, it made everything even clearer. He wasn't just her co-worker, he was her choice, her partner in something unthinkable. And as detectives prepared the warrants that would lead to both their arrests, one quiet thought lingered in the air. How could love twist into something this dark? And how could a mother destroy her own family for nothing at all? Love is supposed to make you stronger. It's supposed to bring out patience, grace, and hope. But sometimes when jealousy takes root and anger grows unchecked, love becomes something else. It becomes
Bye, Lexi.
And that night on Sweet Amy Lane, the weapon wasn't in the hands of a stranger. It was right there in the home. Deputies had already been working the case for hours when the first doubts appeared on the whiteboard back at the station. Timeline off. Scene too clean. Glass. Outward. Every clue whispered that the story didn't fit. They replayed the 911 call again and again. The operator's calm professionalism filled the room. Then came Nyaja's voice, soft, measured, almost detached.
A woman who deputies say made a 911 call last month has been charged with her boyfriend's murder. The Lenoir County Sheriff's Office says Nyasia Perkins and Calvin Colley were arrested Wednesday and charged with first-degree murder and felony conspiracy in Quinton Gray's death. Deputies say both Perkins and Colley were arrested yesterday at their places of work in Kinston. Deputies won't say where that happened, but did confirm the two worked together. The 26-year-old woman lives in Lenoir County, while deputies say the 29-year-old man is from Goldsboro.
He's been shot. I don't think he's breathing. It happened maybe 5 minutes ago. She never screamed, never gasped, never called his name. Even the dispatcher later in the report noted her steady tone. By sunrise, detectives were quietly pulling Quinton's phone records. If this had been a robbery, there would be signs, missing items, footprints, disturbed drawers, but the house was nearly untouched. The TV still glowed faintly from the night before. Cash and jewelry sat in plain sight. This wasn't a theft. It was something personal. At the morgue, the autopsy confirmed what detectives feared. 2 close-range shots, no defensive wounds, no sign of a struggle. Quinton had likely been half asleep when the bullets hit. When investigators replayed the recording of Nyasha's statement, they could hear it again, faint but clear. Cal. Who was Cal? Detectives dug into Nyasha's life, workplace, a local distribution warehouse in Kinston, co-workers, mostly regulars from nearby towns. One name jumped off the list, Calvin Colley, a 29-year-old from Goldsboro. Quiet reputation, but his record, different story. Just a few years earlier, he'd faced charges for a shooting that left several injured. The case never fully stuck, but the pattern was there.
Meanwhile, Quinton's family was in mourning. His mother, holding his 2 little boys, refused to believe what the sheriff's deputies were starting to suspect. She had hugged Nyaja only hours before, believing they were united in grief, believing she had lost her partner too. She cried in my arms. She would later say, she said she didn't know who did it. I believed her. That trust would soon be shattered. As detectives built the timeline, a clear picture began to emerge. The night before the shooting, Nyaja had been texting Calvin. Messages started casual. Then, closer to midnight, they changed tone. 11:50 p.m. Are you awake? 12:02 a.m. I'm ready. And just minutes after the 911 call, 12:14 a.m. Done. Those messages were the nail in the coffin. The so-called break-in was never real. It was staged. A performance carefully planned to hide something far darker. Investigators believe Calvin entered the home through an unlocked door. Quinton was in the living room, likely half awake, when Calvin fired twice. Then Nyaja broke the window from the inside, threw glass outward onto the porch, and called 911. A perfect story, until the evidence began to talk. Across town, the news spread like wildfire. Father of 2 killed in home invasion. Headlines flooded social media. Friends
You shot it how many times?
Local outlets
Where you go
posted
to?
Quinton's music clips. Small verses
Juvenile.
under his rap name,
What happened
Montana. In one video, his voice rapped about grinding
Okay, I got
water,
you.
about family, about making it out. Lines that now felt haunting. I'm on the block trying to make it to the top. Those who knew him said he was changing, trying to do right, trying to be present for his kids. He wanted to move his family out of Kinston someday, a dream that would never come true. Days turned into weeks, and the investigation grew sharper. Detectives interviewed co-workers, friends, neighbors. Patterns surfaced. A warehouse employee remembered seeing Nyaja and Calvin talking often. Sometimes they disappeared to the break room at odd hours. Another coworker recalled Nyaja joking, half serious, about being tired of Quinton. tired of arguing, tired of feeling stuck. One even claimed she once said, "He'd be better off gone." At the time, nobody thought she meant it. Now those words carried weight. Then came the digital evidence, location data, cell tower pings, security footage from a nearby gas station. Everything began lining up. Calvin's car spotted on a camera less than a mile from Sweet Amy Lane at 12:05 a.m. He claimed he was home in Goldsboro, but his phone said otherwise. That was all detectives needed. They drafted the warrants, and on January 15th, 2025, they moved. First stop, the warehouse where Neasia worked. It was just past noon. She was in the break room warming up lunch. Two detectives approached quietly. Neasia Perkins. She looked up. Her face froze. They told her she was under arrest for the murder of Quinton Gray. The room went silent. She cried. Not loud, not frantic, just whispered, "No, not here." My kids, co-workers watched as she was led out. Head down, wrists cuffed. The same woman they'd worked beside for years, now accused of orchestrating her boyfriend's death. 4 hours later, officers caught up with Calvin Coley at his job in another facility across town. Unlike Neasia, he ran, bolted through the loading docks, weaving between crates, trying to hide, but there was nowhere to go. When they found him crouched behind stacked boxes, he raised his hands and surrendered. By sunset, both sat in holding cells at the Lenoir County Jail, booked for first-degree murder and felony conspiracy. No bond. That evening, as the sheriff's department announced the arrests, the community was stunned. Neighbors who had prayed for justice were speechless. People who had defended Neasia online couldn't reconcile what they were hearing. And Quinton's family, they broke all over again. Because now, the woman they'd comforted, the one who'd posted tributes with their children's faces, was accused of destroying everything. Her Facebook page became a painful reminder. Photos with smiling captions, once heartfelt, now read like lies. Posts about missing Quinton, now seen through the eyes of betrayal.
But the story wasn't finished. Because the investigation still had gaps, the court dates were coming, and the questions of motive and manipulation were only beginning. Did Neasia plan everything alone? Was Calvin the one who pulled the trigger? Or were there more hands behind the curtain? Other names that never made the headlines? And above all, what could drive a mother to destroy her family for nothing but pride and anger? The morning after their arrests, Lenoir County woke to headlines that sent shockwaves through the community. When Neasia entered the courtroom in shackles, her once confident posture was gone. Her hair tied back, her eyes red but dry. She looked small, almost childlike. Calvin followed, his expression flat, emotionless, detached. The judge's voice filled the room. Both defendants will be held without bond pending trial. There was no outburst, no protest, just silence, the kind of silence that feels heavy, like a storm about to break. Meanwhile, the internet had already taken sides. Comments poured in from across the country. Some blamed jealousy, others pointed to manipulation, but one topic kept surfacing: her 911 call. People couldn't get past the way she sounded. Too calm, too steady, too controlled. She didn't sound scared. One viewer wrote, she sounded like she was reading a script. And it wasn't just one person saying it. It was hundreds. Men, women, mothers, all echoing the same disbelief. Some said it was proof she was guilty. Others argued trauma affects everyone differently. But either way, that calmness, that unsettling tone became the symbol of the entire case.
Back in Kinston, the conversations weren't happening online. They were happening at kitchen tables, in barbershops, and on church steps. Older folks shook their heads, saying it was another sign of lost values. Younger ones said it showed how toxic love can become when pride gets involved. One pastor put it simply, we've raised a generation that confuses possession with partnership. He wasn't talking about the alone. He was talking about what the case revealed, how jealousy and resentment can fester quietly, disguised as love, until it
dog over there in the cup.
irreversible.
He fucking
For
with
investigators, though, it wasn't philosophy, it was evidence. And the evidence spoke loudly. The text messages,
I'm dead,
the
baby.
stage scene,
Love,
the
support,
timing,
care,
the
and
digital
love,
trail
company
that
if it ever
placed
get.
Calvin near the
Hey.
home at the exact time of the murder. Even the small details told the story. The glass falling outward, the calm 911 tone, the inconsistency.
Ain't talking about magic. Niggas get killed in this field and it's tragic. Gotta stay focused, you lose when you sleeping. Watch how I move and I move with precision. All of these hoes be choosing and picking. Can't do how I do when I do how I did it. They not in my lane, no, they not in my league. Ain't on my level, we cannot compete. We not together, you not on my team. Don't see no one better like who hot as me. They not in my lane, no, they not in my league. Ain't on my level, we cannot compete. We not together, you not on my team. Don't see no one better like who hot as me.
Emojis of broken hearts and doves. But then came that one post, the one that changed how everyone saw her. Everybody that think they going to be at Hoodrich Montana's service, y'all not. He only messed with a few, and y'all know who you are. The internet lit up. People were stunned. Who talks like that after losing their partner? Who tries to control who can mourn a man's death? That single post became a turning point in the public's perception. It was no longer about grief. It was about control. And control was exactly what this entire tragedy was built on. Because when investigators pulled her phone records, they saw that same pattern. Control over Quinton, over Calvin, over the narrative. She wanted to direct the story, even after the ending had already been written. By late January, as the case gained national attention, true crime shows began discussing it. Local outlets revisited Quinton's music, his dreams, and his future. One of his songs recorded just months earlier played softly.
I done came far, but I'm tryna go farther. I've been going hard, but I gotta go harder. I've been came far, but I'm tryna go farther.
You know it,
now what's up, and we out before they look. I used to fuck with you niggas, and I had love for you niggas. Now I can't both, but lately, yeah, I just been chillin' and tryna run up me a million and put my name up on it. They never dollar, they got me straight from that bottom, but now I look up and I'm winning. Remember them times I was broke, my pocket was low, and I was stuck in the trenches. Thought you was with me, but you wasn't loyal. You was against me, you wasn't for me. Do what they say, but they hate I know it. Fuck it, I'm gon' make them hate me some more. And promise it's simple, that's all that's important. Time go through, and I couldn't avoid.
Started to unravel. Calvin denied everything at first. He claimed he was home. Then, when shown the phone records, he went quiet. Nyazia, meanwhile, stuck to her script. A stranger broke in. A shadow ran past. But when detectives showed her the messages, her composure cracked. She cried, begged, said it wasn't supposed to happen that way. Those words, "not supposed to happen that way," sent chills through the room. They revealed intent. They revealed guilt.
The story began as one of passion, but it ended as a warning. Because if love isn't built on trust, it can rot into something dangerous. It can blind people. It can make them believe possession is affection, that control is commitment, and that ending someone's life can somehow solve a problem. It never does. In one of the final interviews before the trial, Sheriff Jackie Rogers stood before reporters. He said this was not random, this was not senseless, this was planned. We hope this brings some peace to the family, but the truth is nothing ever really does. His words were calm, but they carried the weariness of a man who's seen too many homes turned into crime scenes. Because this wasn't just another case. This was a mirror held up to a community that had seen too much loss, too much betrayal, too many families broken by violence that could have been avoided. And yet, even through the pain, something powerful happened. People began to talk, not about gossip, but about prevention, about walking away instead of escalating, about seeking help before things turn deadly. Local churches began hosting workshops about conflict resolution and domestic peace. Schools added awareness sessions about emotional control. For once, the tragedy didn't just end in silence. It sparked reflection. One speaker at a town event said it best: "We can't bring Quinton back, but we can learn from what happened to him. We can teach our sons patience and our daughters value, because love without respect, it always ends in pain."